when we think of astrology, sometimes people think it's like it's all woo woo, and I can't blame them. Very young, we are all being conditioned with certain ideals, or some within our control and some absolutely not. And we, as we grow older, we either challenge those ideas or we stick to them, and which has a lot to do with a lot of varying things. And so when I went into astrology, or I started to find the whole aspect of it very interesting, coming from a Christian background, it was conflicting. And I would say where I was told, hey, look, this is demonic, or, in the Bible it says, this is not going to work out. Like, this is wrong. You're going to go to hell. And the more I kept exploring and researching, the more I was starting to understand, like, let's see, what did I do? So I said, okay, so who's King James first? Let's understand where he's from. And let's also understand his lineage and who's still alive, who's still in his bloodline, and where they're working now, what do they run? Because they're not going to run nothing small around here, And then you start to understand that the Bible was and I'm going to preface this with, like, I still read the Bible. I still see the clues, and it's also understanding the opposition. But the Bible was a document to explicitly control a certain type of individual. But in saying that, it also has knowledge of things that are warming, things that are encouraging, things that access your genetic structure, your DNA, in a way that allows you to understand more things. So the more you read, the more you remember. And that's what was happening. I want my channel to really be about self-actualization and manifestation through astrology, but not necessarily in a way that, I guess, where it was said, hey, well, you shouldn't be worshiping any other god but the Lord your God, right? This is not looking at it from that way. It's looking at it from a perspective of, we are born into a world of sin. This is across time, across religion, they're all saying the same thing. So if this structure is born in a world of sin, what is that? Who are these people, and who's running it, and what's happening right now? And I like to personify the world as a prison, right? And you have to get out, right? And you have to understand how much time you have, who's running what time you have to go out the yard, what time you have to, like, who's more behaved, who's less behaved. And the powers that be will understand that. They will know exactly who you are. If we look in the Bible and we understand the story of Noah's Ark, the story of the bloodlines of, because they make it very clear, they like, this begat this and this begat that. Like, they're making it very clear that you need to analyze all the bloodlines. And this is why we've got this book, to show you the descendants of who. So again, I feel the Bible is more of a document to those powers that be that wish to control, and how to control them, and what and where to go with that. Now you can be like, oh my gosh, why would you say that? Like, but you have to take the sense out of the nonsense as well, right? You got to take the good from the evil, or exclude the evil and look at the good sometimes, right? So oftentimes I've noticed the personality around the word Lord. Now this word is used in many things. It's used in landlord. It's used in astrology because there are lords for each house. Okay. And it's called house, right? So we have houses and a landlord runs the house. In the same way, astrology does the same thing. So nothing's really different from understanding celestial bodies and understanding how we replicate that in our physical day-to-day and in our physical surroundings. So Lord is a ruler, somebody that has acquired a certain level of knowledge to have the audacity to be titled Lord. So it's a title more than anything. So if Lord is just by itself, it comes to question of, let me just check my time. It comes to question of Lord who? So sometimes in the Bible, it would just have, and the Lord said. And I would challenge anybody to read the energy of those passages where it says the Lord in comparison to the energy of Lord God, because they come across very different. And I'll leave it there. But if we talk about how the constellations and how each constellation in the sky has been assigned by a star sign, and it takes a broad area, right? When we think of a constellation, they're like little notches, right? They just, and they say, hey, that's Leo, right? And that part of the sky will be, that part of the sky will be governed by its natal house, or the house that it belongs to is in the 5th house. So you have these star signs, and so if you're coming here and you're very well informed about star signs, you're on a very good head start. But not to fear, like if you don't have any idea about star signs, or you maybe have a small understanding, it's personifying the energies of each house so that you can understand if the landlord, the main landlord, leaves the house and somebody else is renting there, let's just say, okay, since we're doing that, okay, if somebody else is going in there, so let's say the landlord for the 10th house is going, and let's say this is the 10th house, right? And Mercury is going inside the house to rent out for a couple of months, okay? And it's gonna say, okay, I really don't like this place. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna change this around. I'm gonna do this because I do what I like, because I'm a Gemini, yeah? And the 10th house is ruled by Granddad Saturn, yeah? And Granddad Saturn, I like to call him Granddad Saturn because Saturn is a slow moving planet. Okay, so when he's traveling, when he's left his main abode and he's going to go to a next house, he's going to take his time, right? He's going to need to stop for a bit, have a ham sandwich, and then keep walking again, okay? Because it's Granddad Sat, yeah? And he's always a bit grumpy, okay? Anyone pass by him, back in my days, we used to work hard and we used to walk, 50 miles to get to where we had to go. And did we complain? No, we didn't. And that's how I see it. Like, and so some planets like Mercury moves a little bit faster. Not even a little bit, it's much faster than Saturn. So it will be in the house and it'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm here. All right. Okay, I put the keys underneath the mat. I'm gone. I have to go somewhere else. And Mercury is a sign that is about communication, right? It's about it's not a surprise that its movements is much quicker. It wants to get around. So, every time you're like, oh my gosh, Mercury's in lemonade. It's because Mercury is always, it's got things to do, And because it's governed by the energies of Gemini, or the constellations of Gemini and Virgo, those signs are very detailed, very intellectual. We lean more into Gemini. I mean, Gemini is more... They like to cause a bit of controversy, you know, but everybody's got their place and everyone's got their reason. So that's in a way of personifying the landlord, yeah. So now each area is, so when you start to look at each house and you start to, because some things are about memorizing, but if you can characterize it, then it might be easier to understand. So if you know, like for example, when I first started learning this, I started seeing, I knew 4, for me, felt like balance, felt like home. So I always see Cancers in my day-to-day, or Cancerians around me that are that way inclined. They always associate, I always associate them with home, stability, this kind of stuff. So I will always remember 4 as being that. Now everybody's going to have their own way to remember what the actual original placements of each sign is. Now what happens when other planets come into these houses? They start to alchemize, right? Like I said before, when, you know, Granddad Saturn goes out for a walk, his house is still his house. He will still get about, but his house is still fixed. And somebody can come in and out of his house because those are the rules. It's almost like in this realm, we have rules and there is the policy of those rules, and nobody is above the policy, not even the landlord. Okay, so we can go back to the verse where, because I wanted to quickly look, let me see how much time, because I don't want to talk too long. Okay, cool. So when we understand, oh, is this evil, is, you know, there is a term, oh my gosh, because I did this earlier on my computer just kaput. But anyway, apparently there's this understanding that the earth is a Libra, so there's that. I'm going to put that over there. But I'm going to get there, right? I'm going to get to why I'm noting that. But in the beginning, right, there's the Hebrew is, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, right? And in the King James Version, you have in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, why has that changed? Now, the thing about language is very interesting, and I've been very fascinated with language. I've been fascinated by why people change the words away to which way, and I'm thinking there are some very clever people, and all their job is to research. That's what they get paid to do, is research, discuss about their research, more research. Everything's about understanding something. So these are very intelligent beings that have written some of these historical documents, and it does look like they've taken from previous esoteric understandings from other places. So it's understood that the first Bible was in Zed, Ethiopia, right? So Ethiopia has a Bible called Zed, and this Bible has all the canons. And when I mean by canons, it has all writings from a lot more people than they've put in the King James Bible. So if that was the first Bible, which was in Ethiopia, and that is the Christian religion, right? If you haven't read the other books, I'd encourage you to do so. My battery's dying, so I have to be quick. And then the Hebrew understanding is that there are multiple gods, and even in the Ethiopian or Zed, they have this understanding as well. So what happened between then and what we have now as the Western version What happened? So now, again, I would ask you to research who's the lineage and who's the successors of King James, and where are they now? What roles do they do? Where do they live? What companies do they hold? And it will probably reveal a lot more that meets the eye, that this book was actually a document to find certain people or certain bloodlines, and to deal with them accordingly. Yikes. So, right, well, we're going to get back to Granddad Saturn, because I like this concept. So let's say, right, we have the Elohim is basically there's more than one God. So who is the Lord, as opposed to Lord God, that is in the scriptures, that is masking themselves as a higher being? Somebody doesn't belong, basically. And this is no disrespect to God, the highest being, the creator, at all. This is more understanding that men wrote this book and have taken women out of the story writers, women who are story writers, men who are slightly a little bit more pigmented than most, out of the books. And why? What is happening there? What is the agenda? What is the mindset? And if we know that this is created to form a certain way, it's about expanding and opening up. Why is it that the English language is the way that it is today, as opposed to the Latin-esque aspects of neighboring countries? Okay, why is English probably the most pushed out language across the world? That everybody is forced to learn, as opposed to, there's a lot of weaponization in certain areas. And this is not to say, I'm not saying England is evil. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that are happening here that always leads back to a certain place. That's hard me I say. So let's go to Earth is Libra. And why I find this interesting, because even amongst my time of learning and seeing and doing readings, I understood that would make a lot of sense, because there's a lot of Libra is ruled by Venus, right? So anybody underneath this sign, or anybody that has Libra in their first house or second or third, they're always celebrities all the time. I noticed this and I'm like, wow. Or in their 10th, I'm like, okay, there's something about being a Libra or having some Libra placements that are quite strong. I would say first and third would be quite strong, because that's how you're seen, right? And I found that very interesting. So the compatibility, so if you're a Sagittarius or if you're a Gemini, these things are going to be very because everybody has a birth chart. Plants have a birth chart, buildings have a birth chart, locations have a birth chart. Everything is capsuled in time. And so let's talk more about houses, so that you can have a better understanding of how to alchemize. We're gonna use, because I put this here, but I was going segued. Right. So we're gonna use a lady named Starla, and in her 10th house, which is governed by Granddad Saturn, she is it's come up as in this constellation of Gemini. So also what was traveling at the time of her birth was Mars, and Mars is ruled by Aries, right? Or the constellation of Aries. So when you've got three things happening here. So you've got somebody's in Saturn's house, okay? All right. And Saturn, is a grumpy guy. So imagine you're going into the house that it's kind of like when the kids, they throw the ball in the house that everybody doesn't want to go into because they've heard bad things about it. That's a Saturn vibe. It's a bit shaky. It's like you don't know what's going to happen to you. Apparently there was a story that one of the kids got taken away and never was seen again. Them kind of vibes. So when you're in his house, it might be a bit challenging, because he's a bit of a grumpy boots, right? So where you have Gemini, who's about communication, and this is where they're very strong, it won't be too bad. You see, like, it will be actually really nice, because Geminis are also very hardworking. Geminis are also very understanding. They're a bridge. They can see both sides to every story. So even if they don't agree with it, they can see both sides, which is a very good skill that Gemini has. So Granddad Saturn, like, yeah, back in my day. And then Gemini will be like, yeah, like, nah, without you guys, we wouldn't have this, we wouldn't have this, we wouldn't have blah. Like, and then Granddad Saturn will just be like, you know what? The keys are underneath the mat. Just make sure you don't mess up the place, okay? Yeah, no worries, Granddad Saturn, no worries. I'll go it. So he's here. This constellation is here, is basking the energy, but it's not disturbing it so much. So even though Capricorn is an earth sign, Gemini is an air sign, and Mars is fire, they're all alchemizing together. So if you think about a kettle, right, and we think about the old school kettle that you have to put on the fire, you know, you're used, there's so many elements at play, right? So you're boiling the kettle with fire, and it's boiling up, right? It's got a lot of water, and it's creating steam, right? So there is no water placements here, but just for the idea of alchemy and how elements work along each other, or how they dispel each other, or how they expand each other, if you're that type of visual person, that can work for you as well. So this isn't really just a video to kind of help you understand or personify some of the elements of planets that are always in motion, like they're in motion right now, and how much that is impacting our chart. So this is a natal placement, but what if, let's say, the moon is moved in here, right, which is about emotions, and then it moved into your natal part of your house, of Gemini, right, or in the 10th house, right? Then you're gonna have those energies being felt strong in that area, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, why am I feeling so emotional about work? Because this area is about career, long-term goals, right? So and this will be very beneficial for this world that we live in. The policy for you is that in order for you to move very well into the workplace, you will have the gift of the gab. You will move very well through work, and long-term goals and career won't be a hard thing for you to access, because all you have to do is open your mouth and you will get what you need. So that's kind of like how you can actualize or manifest things, by knowing where your strengths are and knowing where there are some challenges, but like alchemizing that. Okay, so if there is something where you see that could potentially be an issue, like, well, how can I switch this around? Same like with Gemini and Capricorn are not necessarily best friends, but they have a lot of things in common. So how can you work that to work in your best interest? And that goes for people that you're around, whether it's star signs, whatever, like that, it works in your best interest. So yeah, that's my hopefully that breakdown has helped in terms of your natal chart, in terms of how things are seen, and hopefully you've looked at my other notes. I just don't want to go over time. Okay, all right. So then we have the gods, right? So I think we're going to do this for planets and really understand planets in that way. So hopefully this has helped you to understand aspects of houses and how houses are reacting to your placements, as well as the constant moving of planets as the days go by, and why people are like, oh my gosh, Mercury's in retrograde again, oh my god, this is going to be so intense. And obviously it's very popular now to be a bit spiritual, you know what I mean? Like, so the algorithm is pouring out so much information about so many different things. At this point in time, I would encourage a lot of people to switch a lot of things off, because the algorithm thinks it's God now, you know? It is getting a bit out of control. And now it's saying, oh, we think you would want this, and we'll think you want that, and we'll think you want that. And actually what you actually want to do is look at your chart, maybe just like what I've done here, draw it out and really start feeling the energy of each of your signs. And when you can't remember, like, oh, okay, but what is Mercury again? Or just just once you understand the constellation that it's ruled by, then you say, okay, do I have a friend that's an Aries, or do I have a friend that's a Pisces? Okay, they're like this, so that's the energy that is carrying. Okay, and this house is run by love and emotions, or whatever it is, right? So that's this video. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Oh my gosh, I finished the video. Yes.